welcome to the Blindfold Chess Podcast. This week we'll be looking at a game from Max Lange, who was a German chess player and won several championships in 1862, 3, 4, and 1868. He was one of the top 10 players in the world in the 1880s, and he was a pioneer of the two knights defense, in which case he has a opening named after him. This week's game we're looking at is focusing on the Romantic era of chess, where sacrifices are very prevalent and beautiful combinations take reign. Now let us begin.
1. Pawn to e4. Pawn to e5. Two. Pawn to f4. Bishop c5.
The move bishop c5 is very clever. Not only does it develop a piece, but it also prevents white from castling, since the bishop covers the g1 square.
3. Knight f3. Pawn to d6. 4. Bishop c4. Knight f6. Five. Pawn to b4. Bishop captures on b4. 6. Pawn to c3. Bishop c5.
The bishop was already on c5 before white played the b4 pawn sacrifice. What was the point of that move? The idea is after the bishop takes on b4 and white plays c3 and the bishop goes back to c5, white now has tempo on the bishop after playing the move d4.
7. Pawn f captures on e5. Knight captures on e4.
The knight capturing on e4 seems like a free pawn, but it sets up a nice tactical sequence. Can you find it?
8. Queen f4 check. Knight d7. Nine. Bishop captures on f7 check. King captures on f7. 10. Queen captures on e4. Rook e8. 11. Pawn to d4. Knight f6.
There is a white pawn on e5 after black plays knight to f6. Should white take the free knight? The answer is probably not, since the queen is on e4, the white king is on e1, and the black rook is on e8. So if white were to take the knight, they would lose their queen.
12. Queen c2. Bishop b6. 13. Castle kingside. Pawn d captures on e5. 14. Knight g5 check. King g8. 15. Bishop a3. Bishop captures on d4 check. 16. King h1.
There is a pawn on c3 that white could have captured the bishop on d4, but what would have happened? If white would have played c captures on d4, black would have played queen captures d4 check, white would have played king to h1, and then the queen would have captured on a1.
Bishop e6. (17) Rook captures on f6. Pawn to e4.
Black could have captured the rook with pawn g takes on f6. However, white would have played queen takes h7, and that would be mate. So with the move e4, black not only threatens to capture the rook with the pawn on g7 or the bishop on d4, but it also blocks the white queen with the pawn now being on the b1 to h7 diagonal.
18. Rook captures on e6. Queen captures on g5. (19) Rook captures on e8 check. Rook captures on e8. 20. Pawn to c captures on d4. Pawn to e3. (21) Knight c3. Black resigns.
Black ended up resigning here because white is up 2 full pieces in exchange for a couple of pawns that will be stopped and soon rounded up. It's quite impressive that in this 21 move game we had a pawn sacrifice, an exchange sacrifice, and 2 different piece sacrifices. That's kind of why the Romantic era of chess is so interesting to look at. But that is all that we have for this week, so I hope you will tune in next time as we continue to work on our visualization skills.